Thank you, Han, for the welcome address. It's been a real pleasure to work with you and my fellow dedicated MIT Chief members this year. MIT Chief was founded in 2011, and the influence has been growing rapidly ever since. We could not achieve this level of success without tremendous support from the MIT faculty members, especially our faculty advisors. Today, we are honored to have Professor Victor Zhu, one of our faculty advisors, to make the opening remarks. Professor Zhu is a professor of electrical engineering and computer science at MIT. He is a chair of MIT Greater China Strategy Working Group. Professor Zhu has consulted for many multinational corporations, and he has served on many planning, advisory, and review committees for the US Department of Defense, the National Science Foundation, and the National Academies of Science and Engineering. Professor Zhu is also a member of the US National Academy of Engineering. Please join me in welcoming Professor Zhu.
Okay. 各位来宾早。I have lectured in this classroom. I've given talks in this classroom. I've never seen this many Chinese faces. It makes me feel very comfortable talking here. However, I think I'm going to speak in English following your lead. In 2006, the things sort of happened in sequence. I want to give you some idea about the formation of the China strategy here at MIT and give you an update in terms of the execution of it. So let me first of all give you a timeline. In 2006, former President Susan Hockfield visited China, and she came home with the belief that, in fact, MIT's relationship with China is going to be the most important one, international relationship. So she convened a China Day in May of 2006 to talk about that. A year later, she formed the Greater China Strategy Working Group, and this is a cross-school working group, consists of 15 members, and all 5 of the MIT schools were represented. And we worked very hard for a couple of years, and the report was released and accepted by then President Hockfield and then Provost and current President Rafael Reif in 2010. And you can see the report online. And since 2011, we formed a Greater China Working Group to execute this strategy. So what I want to do is, in the next 10 minutes, give you a quick idea about what we came up with and what have we done in terms of progress. I think President Hockfield and all of us believe that China is important to MIT's future. If you think about education, for example, we must prepare our students for a career in which they are going to be working with people from China. In fact, they might have to work in China. At MIT on campus, we want to continue to attract some of the best minds from China. In the area of research, many key global problems, as listed up here, these are the kind of problems that we cannot even begin to solve those problems without engaging China. And today, in many of the innovations, the new first-to-the-world introduction of technologies are done in China, in nuclear science, in building construction, in high-speed rail, for example. So as a consequence, for us to stay in the forefront of global problem solving, we must engage with China. And MIT's relationship with China dates back 135 years. When the Qing dynasty, during the Qing dynasty, about 100 people, the China 100, visited here, and many of them study here at MIT. And you know that we have many distinguished Chinese alumni. When I was a student, I studied modern communication theory, and that was developed by Norbert Wiener and Professor Y.W. Lee. Of course, Professor Chen is the father of rocketry, and Professor Xie is the first woman president of Fudan University. Many, many people have contributed to the world. When we started to think about the formation of MIT's strategy for China engagement, we had sort of three guiding principles. MIT in the past has had many, many different relationships with Russia, with Singapore, with the Middle East, with Portugal, for example. But we believe that the relationship with China is different. For one thing, because of the sheer size, and for another, because of the accelerated growth of the area. So it's going to be very soon that they are going to be working, at the level of for example, United States. So the impact of this relationship will far exceed the collection of all the relationships that we have, and we must be very aware of that. We want to think about China as our peers, people who work together. Now, of course, by all measures, you might say that Chinese universities are not at the level of some of the world-class universities such as MIT. But the government is making tremendous investment in this area, upgrading the universities, and the talent pool in China is immense. So it is only a matter of time, as our president, Raphael Reif, once said to me. He said, if we don't engage with China now, 10 years from now, we will have to take a number and wait. Okay? So our strategy must be driven by willing partners and must be driven by a desire to work with our potential peers in China. And in the past, we have many alumni from Hong Kong and from Taiwan who have had very strong relationships with various departments, schools, and even in central administration. So as we develop the China strategy, I think we have to be sensitive of both the political reality and also our friends who have been with us for decades. The committee came up with 7 recommendations. What I'd like to do is very quickly go through these 7 recommendations with you and try to tell you about the things that we have done. The first recommendation is that we need to increase awareness in China. And it's amazing to me that how little people knew about China. And so what we wanted to do and what we have done includes the establishment of a window from Global MIT. So all the China activities are concentrated in one place. We also introduced the notion of a China Forum, of inviting a lot of well-known people from Madame Liu Yandong to the ambassador to China to come here and talk to us and to be able to interact with students and faculty. And former President Susan Hockfield revisited China in 2010, and Professor Raphael Reif, right before he was inaugurated, he visited China again in 2012. As you know, since 2011, the MIT Chief, a completely student-led conference, attracted many top-notch speakers and hundreds of attendees. This is the 3rd time we have MIT Chief. In my 43 years at MIT, I've never seen any student activity of this caliber and enthusiasm, so I want to thank them very much. The second recommendation is that we must build capacity. We want to make it possible for as many students to visit China to understand what it's like, and also to try to attract a student from China and find the financial resources to support them. And here are two examples of the kind of thing that we have done. The last couple of years, the MISTI program, MISTI China program, has sent many, many students. Our goal is in 5 years' time, we want to be able to send close to 200 students, that will be 20% of MIT class, to visit China. And the China Scholarship Council had pledged support, financial support for many graduates from China, and the first batch of these students came this past September. The third recommendation is to promote collaborations between MIT faculty, research staff, and students with their Chinese counterparts. The two examples I want to give you is this notion of empowering the teacher. MIT is a small school. We have only 4,000 students or so, undergraduate, and it is hard to have impact. But if we were able to invite teachers to come here, empowering them by asking them to observe, to participate in the teaching, then they can go back and take whatever works here and try to localize to China. This is a program started by the Sloan School of Management for many years, and now in the School of Engineering, we have some pilot programs of this program called Empowering the Teacher. And we established a MIT Innovation Fund to fund worthy projects, and over the last 2 years, we funded 17 projects from students and from faculty. And I understand that in another week or so, we're going to announce another batch of awardees for this MIT China Innovation Project. And China has so many universities, it's not possible to engage with too many universities. So what we want to do is to be able to form a handful of special relationships with universities in China. Over the last 3 years, we have established relationship with Tsinghua, both in terms of low carbon research and also theoretical computer science research. And we have had relationship with Shanghai Jiao Tong University and Zhejiang University. In Hong Kong, with the Chinese University of Hong Kong, establishing a joint center for theoretical computer science, and also with the National Taiwan University. Number 5, we thought we should consider seriously the possibility of creating an innovation hub on the ground to have a presence in China. And this is something that we recommended that the current group will study, and this is being explored by the China Working Group at the moment. 6th recommendation, MIT should develop some sort of executive education program in order to bring awareness to government officials, educators, and as well as researchers. And relying on our strength, our executive education program will be in the area of science and technology. And one notable program is the agreement that we signed with Shanghai Jiao Tong University, and of a 3-year agreement in which we have an executive education program 3 times a year, 30 students per year. And initially, the emphasis is in the area energy. And finally, MIT should establish resource development effort in order to support our China-based initiatives. So the group has been able to raise about $11 million to support this work. And the MIT Industry Liaison Program over the last 2 or 3 years had recruited 18 companies to be part of this program. And so far, we have had 2 Industry Liaison Program annual conference in China. So let me quickly wrap up, and just by saying China is important to MIT and vice versa. And we have formulated a strategy for China engagement. Progress has been made in many fronts. There is a lot of excitement and energy on campus in this area, as evidenced by the people who organized this conference. And much more needs to be done and can be done, and we must redouble our effort. Thank you very much.